Welcome everyone. Oh, it's 3:14 on the clock, so it's Pi Day there. All I gotta say is wow, wow, wow. Between the messages yesterday and today, really profound symbolism was coming through, so I'll get that to you. I just have two main reads to give you today, and the read from today is just this pyramid of cards on the table, which we'll get to. But there's first my message of the day from yesterday, which also was very profound and very detailed. So I want to get right into it. We're going to roll the die. Let's go ahead and first take a few deep breaths. Take a deep breath. Pulling in creator, source of all that is. Sophia, Sophia, Sophia. Command it is so, and so it is. Take another deep breath. And one more deep breath. Source, creator of all that is, please armor us all with your love, and so it is. All right, let's put these out of the way. I hope you guys are all doing well. The energy's kind of funky today. It's looks kind of stormy. It feels kind of humid in the air right now. We've had some beautiful sunny days though up till today. And just been feeling some achiness too in the body the past couple days that I can't seem to shake. But yes, definitely feels stormy. There's that energy brewing of the storm. And it's supposed to be nice tomorrow though, because we're supposed to go to the beach. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and roll the die, see what comes up for today for the twin flames. And I'm definitely going to try to get my last 4 signs done today. So Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. Did I do Aries? No, that's right. Okay, so those 4 signs I still need to do. So what's coming up for the twin flames today? Today is June 12th, 2023. All right, we have Venus coming up, and that's been a common theme. It did come up as the planet of the year this year. So you have Libra and Taurus with that, as well as Leo coming up here. Again, the child, shining your light, leadership as well. The 3 of the Empress, which is Taurus, still in the North Node until July 17th or 18th. And also the energy of the 3 coming together in joy, siblings, of course abundance, Mother Nature. So Leo is the sun, so we have the mother and the sun, which was a big theme this week as well. And then Venus with Taurus again. So there's 2 Taurus energies here, as well as Libra, and then Leo, which is 2 fixed signs, and then Cardinal. The mother, strength, right? Taming the beast, and then Lionsgate's coming up a lot too. The whole energy of the opening of Lionsgate. So we're already in that energy of Lionsgate, but of course it peaks out August 8th or around that time. The alignment with Sirius. And again, this alignment with Venus as well is coming up as very significant. And the mother and child. Especially the mother and son, because the mother and daughter has been coming up a lot on a regular basis, but the mother, it's 3:19 on the clock. There you go, mother and son. So the mother and son, very significant. And we have Pi Day too, which is actually my daughter's birthday. So both the daughters and the sons coming up here. And Pi, of course, is that circle with a line down the middle, sharing equally the 2 halves, the half moon energy. That's very balanced energy for the twins. And there's some random messages I want to bring up first before I get into my message of the day, and then I'll do this after this. That was from today. So, and this is all from the 10th through till today, and the 10th is my mother's birthday. I brought that up this week between my mother's and father's birthdays because they were 6/3 and 6/10, which are both that Gemini twin energy. They were 7 years and 7 days apart, which is the sovereign energy of the 77, so there's a lot of significance there. And that came up 3.5 days between the two, which is that halfway point. And again, that comes up a lot in the Bible as well, as the 7 days and the half point of that. So then I was listening to Next Level Soul podcast, Robin Lansong, which is a really interesting story, very traumatizing for her life. So check that out if you'd like to. But that was at 1:44. I looked at the clock, and so I pulled a card. And the Three of Cups came out upright with the Queen of Pentacles. So that very grounded energy of joy and coming together. And the energy of the King of Cups upright with the Empress reverse, starting over. And perhaps there's some weakness without self-love. The Queen of Pentacles without their sunshine, without stars. And the 5th house of Leo coming up there. And remember, and Aquarius is coming up here too as the axis to Leo. The axis. And I was just getting, I know it's axis, but I was getting access to Leo. And again, the entrance to the tunnel, the entrance to the passageway was a big theme coming up in the messages as well. The quest, the impossible dream, also this week. To face your worst fears of secrets coming out. Unable to leave. The Colosseum came up, that we're clearing the Colosseum wounds. We're also clearing the crown wounds. So not the crown, but after the crown's taken off, healing the wounds of the head. The battle and the war, right? The two separate pieces. The outer battle, but the inner war. The battle is outside, the war is within, of disconnect from self and source, unable to walk away or resolve from the outside. As the Page of Wands then came up as inspired. A lot about the fire sign. So we are in 23, which is the King of Wands. Next year is the Queen of Wands, and then we're going to go into the Knight and the Page and the Ace of Wands. So we're very much in that fiery energy of transmuting and burning off all the crap. And I was also getting the energy of, after climbing up to the crown, coming back down the mountain, right, and clearing again. And again, the rising and falling of the eagle, so to speak. So also what came up here is the difference between inspire and aspire, which I'm sure you all have an idea of, but it was coming up in a very specific way here, because remember, to inspire means to breathe in. And so I really kind of wanted to tweak that to see what the difference was and where we need to understand something greater than we are with the impossible dream. So inspire is to breathe, where aspire is to desire to breathe, right? So it's not just to live, but to desire to dream that impossible dream. It was also coming up, and Spirit's connecting with me, where inspire is to breathe, that aspire is for source to take your breath away. Aspire is that vacuum, no matter. It's the void, the empty space. I was just getting no matter how hard, you know, that energy of matter, but again, matter as in solid matter. The void, the empty space, to suck in or suck up, the vacuum. Completely controlled and yet uncontrolled environment in a vacuum of pressure below atmosphere, rarefaction unaffected by the outside world. And also pounds per square inch was coming up as 26 inches of mercury, 13 pounds per square inch. Also pyrene, the molecule pyrene was coming up, and it's 4 hexagrams together that looks like a box on an angle. So it's showing you direction or motion of the toroidal field. Also that coming from coal tar. Multiple circles, aromatic energy, so aroma, fragrance coming up, water and carbon. And again, the molecule with direction, pyrene. And empire comes up, which is all about the fire in the pyramid, right? The fire in the belly, the mid-fire. So the pyre came up with inspire and aspire as fire, the worst, skin, leather, snow, hail, mash, flea, stone, and to bore, as in to bore a hole through, like CERN. And also the pore of the skin came up, the hole. So to suck up the dirt, to dispose of, is vacuuming, right? So all these energies were coming up. At 212, which today is the 12th, and the 2 of the feminine or the higher self, the person to bore, to insert the worst. Fire, snow, hail, the flea, the leather skin, and the pour, or that which pours on you. The spire, S-P-I-R-E, which goes for both inspire and aspire, is the tapering point, the tip, the stem, the peak, the electromagnetic coil of one loop. So it's like a copper coil, but of just one loop around. The turn, the shift, the sphere, and the sprout, the tube and the fuse, or the intermediary of the fuse and the substance of the blast. Oh, that's so interesting, because that came up as the conclusion of the messages today. Remember that, the tube and the fuse, and then the spire is the intermediary, the bridging between the light under your butt, right, lighting the fuse, and the blast, the substance which is then blasted. Where a coil so here, the inspire, though, I just gave you the definitions of spire. So inspire is in the tapering point, or in that coil, or shift, or sphere, or sprout, or in that intermediary or bridge between the tube or fuse and the substance of the blast. Whereas aspire is you are that tapering point. You are the coil, the sphere, the sprout, or you are a CERN, but natural, right, organic. One is the bore that tunnels through, as opposed to being in the boring machine. The conquering as opposed to being conquered. The inspire to breathe, but aspire to take your breath away. So again, very profound information coming through with that. So another symbol came up because the Alchemist, and this book has come up a lot when I've opened books for you guys. Again, my little post-it from a couple years ago. But the Most Holy Trinosophia and Saint Germain, but it's all about alchemy and the secret books of alchemy that were then translated. So maybe we'll open a page for that, because the open book did come up in one of the messages today. But I was guided to a Thoth website, which will come up in the reads as well, which brought up again the methods of alchemy and the alchemist and the crystal man in the messages about Thoth, the I'm not sure how it's pronounced, homunculi. It's the Homunculi, but a very important code came up with this, which is the crystal man, and again, which alchemy is based on, which is really cool that this Thoth energy came up about the stuff that I've been bringing up to you guys from this book. So again, crossing the bridge, paralleling two different energies from different perspectives and bringing them together so we understand it all means basically the same thing. So literally the word Homunculi was being translated into a code for me. And again, about the alchemy, it's the salt versus the mercury with the sulfur in the middle. And remember that vapor is Eden. So sulfur's coming up as the vapor, Eden in the middle. And it's the release point, right? Because when you bring the poles together, you create a release in the middle in that vacuum. So the salt of the earth versus the mercury of the toxic air, right, that humans can't breathe, but also the energy of the ethers. And then sulfur in the middle, which, right, is that lighting of the flame, right, when you go to the bathroom, which may not smell good, but the flame then dissipates that. The vapor of Eden. So it's really cool the way that energy was coming up for me. But the code for the homunculi, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, the crystal man of alchemy, The H was coming up as the 8, and of course the O is the O, or 0. That's source energy, right, of the human embodiment. And then the M for me is co-creation, which symbol is, there's a couple different symbolisms for the M, or co-creation, which is 1v1, or what's the other one I always use? One in the parentheses with the 1 in the middle, and then also just comes down to 111. So co-creation is 111, and then UN is 1, so there's that other 1 of 1111, and then CU is Q, or the letter Q, and the L is the line, or the arc between the two dots, which comes up as the exclamation mark, and then the I at the end, which I've always told you for me is the chakra system and the third eye. So it literally comes up as that code, which I'll show you in a minute, but it's literally this code right here, very significant, okay, of the crystal man. Let's see if I can clarify that a little better for you. Okay, so there's the code, okay, and so it comes up ultimately as 80, 1111, Q, and then exclamation point, and then the lowercase I, which is, again, that's a symbolism for something as well. And again, of course, balancing each other out. And it's also coming up as the exclamation point is the fall, right? So as the Kundalini awakens and we rise to clear through the crown, and then we come back down, is coming up as the exclamation point, period. So the Page of Wands, excited by the Ten of Pentacles upright, drawing in the Knight of Wands, which is the one who lights the flame under your butt, and then the Hierophant, which in alchemy is the master of hidden house, the initiator, right? So the student of alchemy is the initiator, right? They're trying to graduate from alchemy school and then pass the 3 keys of Thoth at the end, which we brought up a lot recently as Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So to duplicate self, birth, or mitosis, right, the splitting of the human cell, and the initiator is also the altar, to duplicate self or birth, mitosis, and again the daughter cell with torch, which equals rebirth, and the sky, which equals the hall, or the halls of Amenti, to create a daughter cell, to become 2 or divided, in order to come back together again. So again, to rise to the crown in order to fall back to the base. And the peak distance before the return of this, which is then source, of course. The torch consciousness or awareness is to use intelligence to discern between and take action to explore the Akashic records, which is the sky, where now the body is in the soul as opposed to the soul being in the body of the 3D human. And copper comes up with Venus. It also came up with my maiden name Cope the other day in my read, which I did bring to you. So copper Venus also came up here as the shift to the soul, and Venus came up again here as the die, with the inner child of Leo, and then the mother of nature, of organic things. So the Page of Wands, which was coming up as the salt, the Knight of Wands was coming up as Mercury, and the Ten of Pentacles was coming up as the sulfur, where Phur, Phur, was coming up as Phur the soul. Phur for the soul. So SUL is coming up as the soul in sulfur, and Phur, like to feed the soul, Phur for the soul. It may smell bad, but it feels great, right? That sulfur energy of going to the bathroom. So the soul, SUL, actually means naive, roller, sun, fat, milk and bread, south, hair, single, and water. Sulp, SULP, means water. And then HUR means hazelnut, near water, language, banana, hers, our, and rent or free. PHUR is pure, chaste, genuine, or a thief, to carry, for, open, and pine wood, a code. So sulfur, the naive holy roller, and again that includes the Grail and the Rolling Stone, the EM3W, and the I that when falls over becomes the H, the DNA ladder of the I Am presence. The ladder and the mountain was coming up for me, right? The ladder to climb that mountain, which ultimately is source energy. And again, the energy of being genuine with code. And then the water which is emotional language of the heart. And we're in the age of Aquarius, which is the emotion of laughter. So the naive holy roller, very interesting, as the rolling stone and the Holy Grail, which Grail is God's rail, that entrance to the passageway back home through the rolling stone, and the I am presence of the I and the H of the DNA ladder, and that 24th pair of enlightenment, right? Because 24 is the Queen of Wands, but it's also Omega, which is the symbol for enlightenment. And again, the 1,000 suns. So the Hierophant has a big job here as the initiator of the hidden house. The Atlas, the map of intent, the Alchemist, which was breaking down as the misty recovering alcoholic. Powerless or free, leaving the Pentacles suits behind, because Pentacles ultimately represents the 3D body and matter after having mastered the 3D earth, no longer hermiting as the King of Wands apart from the rolling stone, as they've healed his heart on the path of one, and now governs themselves as their own mother and father. He parents himself, or purges and moves on to help others on the road to clarity and the need to help controlling thoughts to reap rewards of the Six of Cups, the two children loving each other, of happy memories, or your remembrance of who you are as the magician embodiment, the alchemist transcending risk, with Gemini and Virgo here as Mercury to trigger the salt of the earth, as the truth shall set you free, letting go in dark night and death and transition, the ultimate detox of freedom from your chains, transcending without dying. The Page of Cups is the rebirthing into the sweet, purified heart that's disconnected from the King of Swords reversed of negative self-talk in the awakening, or any kind of abuse of thoughts and words, of self-abuse. The levitation or near-death experience, resisting the angels and coming back as the Queen of Wands upright, seeing their failures and traps, and finding freedom from the body's restriction as that paralyzed state. And that's so weird. My daughter she was telling me this morning, she felt she had a dream and had sleep paralysis. A paralyzed state, or seeing oneself on the table like you had died and you're watching yourself from above, and sad about lover reverse that's been left behind, with a choice to perform and share and get closure with the Ten of Cups reverse family, or that ending of an emotional cycle, to find peace in injustice and instability, as opposed to be taken down by it. At 2:59, which is the higher self, and the 11th hour of the 59, the war within. So then I have, let's see here. So then I pulled a few cards yesterday around, it was 4:07 p.m. As those of you who watch me know, the 4 and 7 are my sweet spot regarding the 4th chakra, which is the heart to the crown of the 7. But it also comes up as in numbers, right? It's the sweet spot of numbers, just airing to the side of the light or the higher number. Just as in the body, you want to air, it's 3:38 on the clock, that's a special number for me, but it's the Christ vibration and Mary Magdalene together, merged together. So there you go, there's a message there for you. It's 23:57 here, which was a separation of the King of Wands, and he's off balance this year, which is why we're correcting the passions of the King of Wands with 23. So the sweet spot where the body is, you want to air to the side of alkaline as opposed to acidic, right? Because acid leads to the breaking down of the body. And so 4 to 7 are the numbers that represent that sweet spot of being in the middle, but airing towards the side of the light, or what's better for us as humans. The June door came up here in the underlying energy as I was doing some psoas work, and Eric Berg is great. Eric Berg, B-E-R-G, online. He's got a million videos. He's got a great personality and energy. Actually, I connected with his videos when I was trying to heal my back 8 years ago, or 9 or 10 years ago, whatever it was. But he's come up a lot recently this year as well. and I was looking for some psoas stretches, and that was coming up, so you might want to check that out, or anything that you might want. He's got videos for everything. But the June door was coming up here, as we do have the summer solstice, June 21st. The underlying energy of being well and the bat came up here with the well. So the well, the actual well, like in the ground, and the bat, which could be someone working against you in these cards as the tea leaves. As the family wishes come true, take care, as enemies may be working against you. And again, there's that difficult energy that may be coming in. With the moon changes, and remember June 3rd was the full moon, lover's moon, came up, also my father. The March man with a bouquet in June, right? So the March of man, to bring flowers in June. The March was the door for man to send a bouquet in June. The digging up of great passions with no risks, disappointment, and saying to not take risks because there may be some kind of disappointment with a friend or lover. As the seahorse came up with family matters, and the Pegasus marriage. So this was very interesting too, because recently Andromeda came up on, I think it was the last video I did, talking about how Andromeda actually ate her sister, or what was considered as I can't remember what it was, but anyway, there's this energy of twins and having eaten the other, and Andromeda, and there's still a portion of that system that still is around Andromeda. But Pegasus, of course, shares a star with Andromeda, so there's that energy of that twin energy of them being connected. The rock salt came up, and again the earth, and Mercury is quicksilver, right, which is more of a liquidy metal, and then the sulfur, which is gaseous. All right, so here we have the different levels of form, right, the solid, the intermediary of quicksilver and Mercury, and then the gaseous sulfur in the middle. As Mr. Ed is of the C and C, of the ocean, and then the seeing with your eyes, the vision, and the letter C, which is that Christ consciousness of unity, but also the whispering bench, right, where two sit on either ends, like the gate holders, and are able to whisper to each other from either end. And then Ben Franklin came in, because I have the Ben Franklin on the bench symbolism there coming up. And the names Ben, Frank, and Lynn were also coming up with that, with the whispering bench. And Poseidon, where Pose and Idum was coming up, which was interesting, because I haven't watched Elizabeth in many years, but House of Items came up, and I went to Hawaii with Elizabeth. So House of Items was coming up, or Elizabeth Lund. So I looked up item, IDOM, which means figure, shape, form, curves, time, mold, noon. And again, it's this energy of a statue. Time out, tense, era, the pose of a figure. Statue or high noon. The pose of the id, or the ego, in the Om. And again, bringing up the polarities. The angel and the devil on each shoulder was coming up, just like in Animal House, the house of the animals, right? The king of the sea of Charlie Tuna and starfish coming up here as well with Poseidon. My cousin was coming up too, with all the names coming up, and Liza was coming up too, and that could be part of Elizabeth as well. So, and Liz and Liza Road kept coming up in my messages as well in the past month or two. So the energy of the statue of Poseidon came up. So I looked something up, and what came up was Artemisian, or Artemisian, I don't know how it's pronounced in Greece. But it's also Artemis, which is the U.S. missile mission, right? So our rockets that are going to the moon are Artemis 1, 2, and 3. So Zeus or Poseidon was coming up with this statue that came up. And remember, Zeus and Poseidon are brothers, and this is a statue they found there in this location in Greece from 460 BCE. of bronze from a shipwreck off Cape Artemision, Greece. And this was in 1928. Again, there's that 28 of the twins and the 19 of the sun. They also found a bronze running horse with a boy on its back. So is that representing Pegasus, or perhaps, what's the other one? Perseus? I don't know. But that was coming up with both statues because they weren't sure whether it was Poseidon or Zeus. And I looked up in Wikipedia, the picture of Zeus actually looked like Woody Harrelson, which was really funny. And remember, Woody Harrelson also played the blind man in The Pursuit of Happiness. Or not The Pursuit of Happiness, the 7 Pounds. So I guess both of those movies are coming up. That was very significant. So the snake, the sickle, and the grain were coming up here at 440, which is the 44 of her harvest, Hercules, with the source energy backing it up. And again, with Zeus, Jupiter's coming up, as well as Saturn, which is Kronos. And again, Zeus is known as the bolt, or the eagle, the bull, and the oak. And then Hercules was coming up as well. In the Avatar, or in the movie Avatar, remember that the water people in the new movie were thicker, they had thicker tails than the land people. So again, this energy of Poseidon versus Zeus, where Poseidon or Neptune would be much thicker or more muscular than Zeus because he lived in the water. And then Poseidon's known by the trident, the fish, the dolphin, the horse, and the bull. So they both have the bull. That's their commonality. Pegasus and Atlas, of course, were his children. Whereas Athena and Greece is Zeus's daughter, which came up as being Hercules, her alter ego. So the angel and the devil then came up at 5:14 to 15 with the 10 of Wands upright, which is Atlas. So now we have the Atlas energy of the mountain and Hercules, right, his and hers. After the Queen of Pentacles keeping to themselves with soul tie or kids, and the Queen of Swords who speaks to heal and shine light, or Aquarius, Queen of Swords upright, may be without growth or without money here. An angel of wisdom and the weight of the world, as the Page of Wands reversed and the Knight of Pentacles reversed came up together here with the Tower upright, which could be a Scorpio or epiphanizing, but it could be a sudden event between them, and uncomfortable with the Knight of Cups reversed, but unable to walk away due to the energetic exchange or connection, that corded energy between the twins. Perhaps going crazy and weak, or Virgo and Leo both reversed here, or perhaps they're on standby, right, because we're Gemini, Cancer going into then Leo and Virgo, with unhappy with themselves. As the Knight of Wands is upright and the Knight of Swords is upright as well, the first responders were coming up here, running back to end the pain in a painful end, as the Three of Swords is upright of heartbreak, with Justice and the Emperor, and Church versus State was coming up, and getting over the loss to be stable with home and celebrate. The inequity of a split or divide, or one big lie, perhaps one who cut and ran, or stole from, or was stolen from, or cheated. The wounded warrior reversed, who surrenders, with the King of Pentacles reversed, who may be lacking faith or foolish behavior, or fell from grace, or fell on their face and hurt themselves, or just got embarrassed, perhaps feeling destitute or injured and given an option to either rest or take a vacation, as dreams may be dashed or dumping emotional attachments to come full circle and release, or the Divine Feminine or Pisces who frees you from your anxieties, as the Queen of Wands reversed is offering love to the past, or sending their best and then moving on with good news, to lead the way, holding back an announcement perhaps, or a call, or needing to swallow their pride, to save as the King of Cups upright and be present in the moment. So again, it's just this transforming of energies at 5:30, which is the Hierophant, again the initiator of mastery and alchemy, and the 30 of the Four of Wands of the union, the home. So then just some quick energies right here at 5:15 was the Page of Swords upright, with a message for those left behind, assessing their worth with the Page of Cups in a wake-up call to see the unknown or synchronicities, grounding, integrating, and mastering, perhaps the gym, on how to receive love without attachment or resistance, sharing equally, offering choices when dealing or cleaning or dealing with out-of-control kids or pets or other people's codependencies or addictions and or temptation here, with Capricorn upright and Leo reversed, an unstable home, move or visit, challenged by the Page of Pentacles, or perhaps an invite, or student, or being challenged by being the student again. And now crowning was the King of Wands reversed, tired or losing their temper, where soon would be the dark night, the death, the ending, the transition or transformation, where he is the Magician embodiment, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family of dysfunction or loss, and the block being standing up for themselves without losing their patience or getting triggered. No longer, like it's always keeping yourself in check because you want the image of being the good child. So here's where that golden child no longer is the golden child, because they have to go against the family to learn to stand up without running away for fear of being trapped or scammed or cheated or lied to. The Knight of Pentacles upright, that loyal, humble servant, facing the consequences of prison or anxiety or unable to function, allowing self to be still and wise now that the worst is over, with the Empress upright, ending the conflict, and the Knight of Swords reversed, which could be verbal abuse or holding their tongue, or freeing themselves from uncomfortable situations, with the Emperor upright and his world, and the need to be a patient angel and find that higher love. In disconnect or distance or split due to divorce, perhaps there's alternative views coming up at play on how to earn money or how to spend or save that you just don't agree with. With the King of Swords upright, immovable in his beliefs or in his integrity or his perspective of integrity, but may seem anti-establishment as well. All right. So then I was doing a read, and again this is where it took me into Thoth, who the truth was handed to the King of Pentacles in the 9 swords of self-satisfaction. Right? Because the 10 of Swords can be the worst pain in the world, or it can be the bliss of that pain ending. So here's the 9 swords of self-satisfaction, perhaps bliss, of the Master Initiate of the Hidden House, of the 3 keys of Thoth, the Emerald Tablets, and the keys of wisdom, where then the site that came up was exemplore.com. So EXEMPHORE, or PLORE, sorry about that. So the Emerald Tablets and the Keys of Wisdom, time above and below, where Hermes is Thoth's 3rd incarnation, according to this website, who wrote the Emerald Tablets based on Thoth, who built the pyramids. I don't know if I wrote the 6 of Pentacles or the 5 of Pentacles here. I just had to figure out why I was correcting it. Oh, it was very interesting here, right? Because the 6 of Pentacles is usually, right, the very charitable man giving to the homeless, those without. He's distributing charity. But here, it's very interesting the way this is coming up, because Thoth paralyzed the Egyptians who tried to destroy them until they groveled at his feet. So the 6 of Pentacles was coming up as this representation, where it always comes up as charity. Here it's coming up as Thoth with the dark energies and saying, I'm not going to let you go until you grovel at my feet, until you humble yourselves. He with the courage would dare the dark realms. Let him be purified first by long fasting, to lie in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber. And then the queen's chambers were coming up and spirits connecting with me. Then to reveal I to him the great mysteries of the halls of Amenti. The pyramid apex is the crystal of the passage below, the passage to the underworld beneath the pyramids and the 10 islands of Atlantis, from beneath the great pyramid. The children of light that sleep in the Amenti. And again, that was that energy of being under the weight of the world, or Atlantis. Because remember, Hercules is North Africa, or excuse me, Atlas Mountains. And once in a while, they incarnate to teach you and guide, leading men from darkness to light, in the halls, where death frees Thoth from bondage, to live as long as he wants, and choose his own moment of death, to be the guiding light for men. And again, the crystal man coming up here at 136, which again is the 1 of oneness and the 36 of Atlas. So again, bringing this code up again of the crystal man. Okay? Which is 80, 1111, Q, exclamation, and then lowercase I. The 80 of the dance of the human embodiment of source of the 1111, which in gematria, the first entry is twin flames. The Q, which is conception, right, of the masculine and the feminine, but it's also the conception of 2 worlds coming together and the bridging between. And the exclamation point of coming back down to the base with the lowercase I, the chakra system in the 3rd eye. The constructed planet and that was created out of the ether cities of rose and gold. The conquered ether is the way it was described here. From thoughts. Not children of earth, but children of cosmic light. Conquer by silence and bondage of words. Abstain from food and that bondage, and centering thy soul in the place of thy consciousness, shaking it free from the bonds of the mind, of the bonds. I want to write the night, but the mind or the night. So again, and just, it's just talking about freeing yourself from any chains that bind you. To vibrate with thy power back and forth. So there's that energetic exchange I was talking about, that 8 of Wands, the 34. 34, remember that, because that's very important from the message from today. Very important symbolisms here. So the list of the back and forth wisdom here from Thoth, that wisdom is power without the pride of wisdom, right? So to be wise, but without that arrogance that certain wise men can project. To speak up in the face of evil for truth, as in the sun that shines above all. To follow your heart, do more than is demanded of you. To use riches in the right way, or in other words, share with your friends. To seek spiritual guidance. Those guided don't go astray, but those who are lost cannot find a straight path. Don't listen to gossip or gossip yourself, that silence is great. Senses are illusions. Turn thy thoughts inwards. Know the omen that light is thy heritage, and darkness is only a veil. The dweller of Unal, so Unal, is that ultimate energy of Atlantis, which is the keeper of the way, the master of the Unal, the harlot dwell in the temple. He is not human, as he showed the path to attainment. He divided Atlantis He divided Atlantis into 10 kingdoms ruled by men, plus 1. So there's another 11th island from his thoughts. So he imagined it into be. It covered miles deep in his heart, the essence of light. He filled its chambers with forms called forth from the ether, and there's that energy of 34, right? The 33 of the Christ vibration, or the 3-3 of like the two eagles flying in one direction, calling forth that energy from the 3-3 of the Christ vibration to the EE, which is the energetic exchange. So there's this flip energy that comes up in the message from today. 3 of them became his messengers to the kings of Atlantis, and on the island of Undal, he placed teachers of light to men, where they were trained for 15 years, and Thoth also trained there. Atlantis fell due to pride of knowledge, and they dared, with that pride, to try to enter Amenti, where all islands were destroyed except for Unal and dwellers, or the sons of Atlantis, and took them to Egypt with him in his spaceship, which is now buried beneath the Sphinx. The gateway to Amenti was also destroyed at that time. And then he says to call my name 3 times, and the 3 separate names that came up, and I'm probably going to destroy the pronunciation, but Keketet, which is Chequuetet, which I broke down as in the chi of the Q, again the conception, the birth of the masculine and feminine, and then ET, which is 2 extraterrestrials or 2 twins, or and, which is infinitum basically. The second name was Arlik, A-R-E, as in you are, and L-I-C-H, which is the undead, right? The corpse that comes alive again. And that was coming up as the ark that is equal, or like, the body, the bed, and the field. And then the third name was the Vomalites, or Vomalites, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but that was coming up as vomiting light, right? You are light, so vomit light. Create human, it also comes up as something negative, right? Mal-ites, which was coming up as basically to be sick and sleeping, which is dark night of the soul. Water throat, ite is water throat, oneself, and to sleep. And vo is the sea inlet, to be worth, fo, you, ox, which is also kisses and hugs, to wash and make into a ball. And again, ox, or kisses and hugs, and then mal, which is sickness, and then it, es, but also ite, which is oneself, and to sleep. Again, waking up from dark night of the soul. So going through that sickness in order to come out the other end. So CERN was also coming up as CERN, as the C, as the whispering bench and the urn, but also the SIR, like an SIR with the N, which is the Christ vibration. The whispering bench urn, or to RN as well, to be nursed. This energy of 1 was coming up with 2, like the 3 of Wands energy. There's 2 wands on one side and 1 on the other. And then the 4 of Wands came up, but 1 was covered up. So it was reflecting the same thing, where 2 wands were on the other side with 1 wand reflecting that. So this is the message of the day as we finally get to it. I told you there's a lot of stuff that came up here. All right, so we have the top deck is the Journey of Love, and then Nature's Whispers, Metatron, my Rider Waite full deck, and then the tea leaves down at the bottom. I'll bring it up a little closer so you can see them. For those of you not familiar, the left is the underlying energies. I usually pull 3 cards, and then the extra cards I use for numerology or to finish the message of the line. And another big symbolism that came up here with the Queen's Gambit, so remember that. So this one was pulled on the 11th from 10:33 a.m. to 41. So the Journey of Love was 33, the Christ vibration going into the 34. which the 34 is now representing, going from the 33 to the EE, which is the flipping of that, where the 4 is doing that. Remember the 4 is the lambda leap. And again, flipping to the other side, which is also the masculine energy, as opposed to the feminine, the Empress and the Emperor. That was Nature's Whispers. The Metatron deck was pulled at 35 to 36, which is the Wounded Warrior and the Atlas energy. And again, getting to the end of the cycle to leave that hard labor behind. And then the Rider-Waite was at 39, which is the Knight of Cups. And then the Tea Leaves were pulled at 41, which is the Ace of Cups, or the Holy Grail. The numbers that came up at the end of each deck came out as 401203 and 402703. Very significant there, because we have the 4 and the 3 as the polarities on both numbers, and they both have space between the middle number, which is 12 and 27, in the two numbers. So again, 401203 and 402703. So the Emperor and the Empress polarized with the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine in the middle. All right, so 4012 is the 1 and the 2 of the Masculine and Feminine, 03. So the Mother and Father basically holding the grid points for the twins in the middle with space to themselves, and the Queen's Gambit. And it was coming up as tripping up to break the ice. All right, so breaking down the Queens and the Gambit, G-A-M, Gam, and Bit. The bit it's also coming up as that leg up, the Gambit, or taking the risk, like the ante, putting in the ante when you're playing poker. The increase and change of dimension in a leap of faith, in again, tripping up in order to break the ice. And that comes up, the Queen's Gambit is the pawn that she gives up in order to win the game, right, to get close to that king. And that message was coming up very significantly, right, her attempt, her quest to get to the king and checkmate. The Queen's corruption of the Holy Grail in energetic exchange with Christ was coming up as Queen. The Queen's corruption of the Holy Grail in energetic exchange, or the arrows of love with Christ, or can represent the Masculine as well. With Gambit, the MB kept standing up because it kept making me think of Warner Brothers, of WB. I was getting Bugs Bunny. But the MB was very significant here, and why they were leading me to it. So, Warner Brothers may be a message for someone out there too, and Bugs Bunny, but also brothers, right? The 2-7 was coming up here because it's the Queen's Gambit. And the second number, I told you, was 27 in the middle. The first was 12, which is today's date, of the Masculine and the Feminine, the 1 and the 2. And 27 is the 2, which, remember, when you write a capital Q really quick, it can look like the number 2. So I've been getting the 2 as the Q all the time. And the 7 is the gamma wave. It used to be represented as a 7, not as a forward like F, which is the digamma wave. So the 2-7 is the 7 wrapped around the 2, which is the Queen's Gambit, they're telling me here during this read. And again, the energy of the gas to step up, a collapsible device or punk that was coming up from the word GA. So GA is Georgia, of course, but it's also the station, the rain, the spear, the ray, the radius, or the rays, the earth, the land, the ox, the bull, the skunk, the cow, and the jackrabbit, as well as gas and accelerator. So the GA in Gambit, as we're breaking that word down, as the Queen was the Queen of corruption and the Holy Grail of energetic exchange with Christ, and her Gambit, or pawn. So the GA are the definitions I just gave you. To set up a collapsible device, right, something that folds in upon itself, or getting punked, tall, beyond that which is tolerated or can be described, getting that leg up, or the last quarter of the one of two pair. Literally, it was coming up here. And then I was getting, I'd rather live in his world than live without him in mine. So that was coming up as she gives her 11 cubits of the queen's quarters, the queen's chambers in the pyramid, which was also coming up as the hind legs. And the MB was coming up as the definition of, all right, so the MB comes up as this MB with MB and this apostrophe, which equals the eclipsed B apostrophe. And remember that word, eclipsed, so how cool that came up. So, the double boiler came up in alchemy because Mary, the Bath of Mary came up, and I wasn't familiar with the Bath of Mary. Well, she apparently is considered a first alchemist. And something she used in her alchemy was something that would be similar to a double boiler, having that pot below the pot. The eclipsed B apostrophe also was defined as the to be or not to be, the second born, which is the rebirth, the number 3, and piggyback, which I talk about that all the time in the totem, and the 1,000 suns with the number 1,000. So the 27, the Q, and the gamma wave, that symbolism I'm going to show you now is coming up as very significant. All right, so here's the Q and the gamma wave wrapped around the Q, and you see that the Q's stem right here is also the leap between dimensions. These two dots represent the two gate holders and the bridge between the masculine and the feminine, and bridging the two different realms, the two dimensions. Okay, so the symbol symbolizes that from 27. Okay, it also looks like the clock, where the minutes hand is at the 27 to the 28 of the twin flames, that one flame to the two flames, the two dots of the twins, who are the gate holders, and then that arc between the bridge of the MB, which is the co-creation of transition. MB also means my bad or maybe, but it's also the alchemical symbol for the Bath of Mary. Also megabyte, money boy, masterboard, the Marine Barracks came up, as well as Million Baht, B-A-H-T. Manitoba, Canada, Myers-Briggs, Mercedes-Benz, and notice the Mercedes that bends. And Matchbox also came up, which totally reminded me of my son. And MB is also make bauble. So Mary's bath, kind of like a double boiler. And again, they call Mary the Jewess, and considered the sister of Moses and the first alchemist. The crucible containing the so-called Bath of Mary, whose amniotic fluids dissolved all impurities. A prep for rebirth as the perfect being, where all matter is redeemed by immersion in the fluid, like a baptism. An immersion of the fluids of the womb, where Jesus assumed the flesh, so was reborn. St. Mary the Virgin Church, and again referencing to Bath, England as well. So the MB with the apostrophe after is the eclipsed form of the B apostrophe, which means B-A, ba, that word, as well as be with an is, or oh well. And so I had to look up ba, of course, and all the definitions of ba, because that's what B apostrophe, or the eclipsed B apostrophe is. Which ba is the sun, to know and understand, socks, knitting, flood, to kiss, wind blowing, was or to be, the mother and father, the dad, to steal, to become, just boo, mouth, and not be. The 3 of the third and the second born are rebirth. This is all the word B-A, which is B apostrophe, and the eclipsed form of M-B apostrophe. The wave, the ripple, perhaps the vagina, to ferment or seeds, prepare them, to go outside the plants, to press the wound or compress, to hit, to perch, braid, which is weaving, to be overcome with fear. The arm, the hot weather, grave tomb already to all, and the bat, the soul, the personality, and the bathroom, as we just talked about the Bath of Mary. The water, the river, the lake, the stream, and the goat, 1,000, yes, egg, and disbelief. To piggyback, which, where, how, them, big wall, fence, and made of reeds, a fence made of reeds, even and not even, nothing and give, the 5, the dog, the hunting dog, in, at, and on, all definitions of the word BA. So basically, to be or not to be, even or not, the wave, which is the both, right, the two polarities back and forth, and the vagina was coming up there, as well as the 1,000 suns, which represents the alignment of enlightenment. The 1,000 suns and piggyback, the rebirthing or second born of the 3 with the third. The 3 and 5 were both numbers of Ba, which is the 3D and 5D, and then the bridge, of course, between. Then brought up the degrees of the pyramids, because I remember doing something divided, which had to do with the cubits of the queen chambers, which they're 11 cubits with a C. And so 51.7, which is the degrees of the pyramid, divided by the 11 cubits of the queen's chambers equals 4.7, or that sweet spot of 4 to 7. The 11 cubits also equals 528 centimeters. Exactly. The 4 to 7 sweet spot, and the 528 also, remember, is the initiator of the Hierophant and the 28 of the twin flames. I just got that now. Which is also 17.323 approximately feet. The 4.7 sweet spot of the queen's chambers into the pyramid, which, remember, pyramid is the fire in the belly, the pyramid. The heart to the crown of the 4 to 7, the lambda leap to the boomerang, which is the urgent angel or the urgent angle, where ANG is also the incubus, the narrow and the nightmare, referencing the night of Mary. And again, that incubus, which is the man coming into the feminine human. The angle, the water basin, which then represents that tub of Mary, or the double boiler. The fragrance and the direct marker here as the ANG. So this is all referencing the boomerang. The incubus is also in cube of us. And again, the incubus and succubus very much represent the energy between the masculine and the feminine, because they're connected in their etheric bodies. Mary's lover and bath, and again, that holy water, right, the womb between of the queen's gambit and the boomerang. So boom is boom, E-rang. I think I declared more about the boomerang on the next page as well. But again, referencing the queen's gambit and the Holy Grail, energetic exchange between the feminine and the masculine, the queen and Christ, and the gambit, the queen's gambit, or the pawn, the push and pull, the vacuum of suspended animation, like the helicopter, that stays up in the air in one spot. And again, that energy of the two spheres coming together, the two different dimensions, and bridged across with the gate holders and the whispering bench, and which also comes up as this symbol right there, okay, like the backwards G without the stationing there, which is the 5D. The energy of the line remembers the 2 dots, which is like the colon or the 2 eyes. So if I switch that around, it becomes like this, like a person with their tongue sticking out at you, but that referencing of going through the hole. And again, I've talked about this before, that the 2 keys in the humans were the mouth and the vagina, right? The places of creation, the tunneling through to the place of creation. And I actually did a technical diagram of that too, which I'll bring up again for you guys, because I'll bring that up with the new drawings for these symbols, because they're really important. So, the 2 spheres in the bridge, the 2 gamma, or digamma, the twin flames, the eclipse that becomes fixed. So they're describing this as an eclipse. So when the sun and the moon eclipse, you see one in front of the other, and we just described this as Venus passing the sun recently as well, which we were being told that that's past now, and we don't have to worry about that energy anymore. But Venus is also considered the Earth's evil twin, right? Because she's so hot. She's too hot to handle. And this could be referencing the eclipsing of the Earth to Venus as bridging the two together permanently as the twin. Very interesting. So, remember Venus came up today, so it's being very, very significant. So literally, the bridge of the Q, right, the line in the Q that's holding the two spheres, the two dimensions together, is the bridge, right? The 4D bridge that we talk about all the time, where the masculine and feminine are the gate holders at either end. But that bridge between them is a whole nother story, which comes up in the message on the table from today, so stay tuned. The triquetra also coming up here on the next page as the Queen's quarters at 1144. The Q and the Q, if you put them together, reflecting each other, becomes the triquetra, or the three circles anyway. So the three circles of the Q and the Q is where they overlap, then their lines reflect and make a third circle. And then what was coming up as triquetra was the Thoth's name again, the Kekatet or Kekate, Chikate, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but the key of the Q of the two twins, the key Q twin flame, or infinitum, the and the and, which and also represents Andromeda and her swallowed twin. The other name of Thoth again was Arlik, are the undead or the corpse, rebirth, and the Vomalites, his third name, to be worth the sickness of oneself in order to vomit light. And then when I was on this page, I got notice that, after all the fires going on, my daughter texted me because the main highway from the airport, 95, which many of you know 95 because it runs along the whole East Coast, a truck was on fire underneath the on-ramp of 95, and it literally collapsed the whole bridge at that street. And you can see that in the news if you'd like to, but that message came up, the collapsing of the bridge, where it no longer needs to be there, okay? And it's like healing a wound, right? You keep bridging the cells back and forth when your wound's healing until it's all filled up again and there's no need to bridge anymore. Like sewing it back together, same kind of thing. You hold it together until it heals completely, and then you don't need to be that bridge anymore. The energy of the Queen's Gambit, where Gambit is the GA, and then the MB, and then the IT, where GA is the one of two, the ox and bull, punked or pushed beyond their limits. The fourth quarter, or the fourth leg, right? That last baton I used to talk about all the time a couple years ago. Between the 3 and the 5 is the fourth quarter, and the leg and the arm coming up here, setting up the collapsible device, the folding in upon each other, at the root station, which is the 5D station, the platform, the jump-off point to all other dimensions, with spear or ray and accelerator, the gas, the skunk, right? That bad stink that gets you running, doesn't it? Or punked into that 1,000 suns that you never would have gotten to unless you had had that fire lit under you. The piggyback or second born, the rebirthing, the wave, and then the 3, to be or not to be, to compress the wound and be overcome with fear as that scream, and the 2 of the keys of the mouth and the vagina, the portals of creation, and that stream of disbelief, of mother, father, dog, goat, and bat here, and a ball, even and not even, yes, bah, oh well, the dog who hunts, the goat who climbs, the bat in the cave who sees in the dark at night and flies and has a ball, as be apostrophe all, be all. I am, as the end of Gambit, IT, is I am top dog, who runs and climbs and flies and sees in the dark and plays ball. Be all. So then I went back to the original numbers that we were dealing with in the beginning of the read, of the 4 and the 3, the polarities of the Emperor and the Empress, and the 12 of the masculine and feminine, or the Magician and the High Priestess, and the 27 that we just described of the Q and the gamma ray, or boomerang, and what they all relate to. So back to the numbers again, where 1 remembers also the colon, which is why I wrote that colon Q above the 1 and the 2. The 1 is the colon of the 2 gate holders with the bridge between, or the arc, and the Q is that 2 of conception. And then the 27 being that symbol that I showed you, the Q with the gamma ray or boomerang around it. The topic is the Q, all about the queen and her pawn, which the pawn is the PA and the WN of 1. To open, fault, blame, desert hare. That's so funny. I saw the Instagram of the 2 hares fighting in the street today. Father 1 or Pa, fault, to open. That could be Pennsylvania, fault to open, which I just told you about the truck on fire collapsing the bridge, which is a fault to open, right? So we, the Huon, Hueon, or the lazy loafer, the large testicle, the dude or stupid person, or the ass, the PA, whether that's Pennsylvania or the loudspeaker announcement, or the father, the announcement of blame, or father with large testicle, or lazy ass, or the queen letting the father win by creating a fault line, catching him off guard in order to corner him, her pawn, someone to blame. 8675309. That just came up as her number on the wall. 86ing the Knight of Pentacles for the Knight of Swords in order to hermit, or 2 sides of the hermit, the humble loyal servant of the Knight of Pentacles and the messenger of truth as the Knight of Swords, which can be the Knight in Shining Armor as well. So the Emperor and the Empress was space to hang out and light the flame, the 23 and 24 of the King of Wands and Queen of Wands and the years that we're in, and the patient of the mother and the father as the gate holders for the Magician and the High Priestess in order to ascend 2 gamma rays in the boom of E-Rang. But remember that E is also the Merlin, boom of the explosion, and Merlin rang as the ANG, which is water, basin, and Mary's bath, the double boiler of the boomerang. The double boiler, the nightmare, the incubus, and remember the mare can reference the MAR of the ocean as well. The eye, the angle, the fragrance. For the urgent Mary's bath, to be baptized, the alchemist preparations, all gassed up for acceleration at the station. At the soul station? So, at the root. Okay, so gassing up at the root station to accelerate the radius or the rays of the 1,000 suns. The gambit is the gam and bit, Mary's thighs, which is so funny because my mother was always obsessing about her thighs, but she always said, well, but your dad likes my thighs. She always had very strong thighs. The gambit, so again referencing the gams or the thighs and Mary's thighs. And then the 2 ships that meet on the ocean and pay a social visit with each other, or intercourse anywhere, is all gam. The boy with wasting and or distancing issues, or swells or creates more distance. The village head man who's got lots of stuff, glue, paste, flowers, plants, and the game. The winter and the winter storm, or Sophia's tower. And the vulture or condor taking advantage of another's demise, sorrow. The bride and groom, and the steps to take, or the threshold to cross, or jumping the broom. A bit of this and a bit of that. Oh well, be all is all about the gambit. Remember the storm is the S and the torm of Sophia's tower. And so the king and his hero's games actually brought it on himself, this queen's gambit, because heroes is her as games anyway. The HIER, which means here and there, hi, this and yesterday, to stamp with a rod, now at this time. The H and the wages, the oblique of Jew or Joe or HRA, which is games or play, and hair. So this and that, to ships at sea, us or the US, and the ox or kisses and hugs, and the dear one, of water and bones as the entrances to the passageways, as well as the face, which is an entrance to a passageway. All of this regarding the gambit and the hero's game, her game, and his game. So the HM of the hanging man and the flame, or candle gazing, with the emperor and the empress holding down the fort, or a fortnight, or 2 weeks, as the Page of Cups in a snap judgment of energetic exchange, or those arrows of love, or that flipping of the 33 of Christ vibration and Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, into the energetic exchange with space to 703. So again, this is again the 402703. So the Page of Cups of 40 in the snap judgment of energetic exchange with space to 703. So I looked up 703, which is North Virginia. Falls Church, Fairfax, Alexandria, and the telephone company there of Virginia was originally at 703 East Grace Street, Richmond, Virginia. And Virginia just came up as the, what was I watching? Virginia's name came up. It was significant to someone. So at 624.73 came up right here, right? That's when the telephone company, I guess, was initiated at 703 East Gray Street, Richmond, Virginia. And I have a lot of family on my mother's paternal side from Richmond, Virginia. And then 624 is my mother's soul number, is 24/6. And 73, I was trying to think back what year 73 was for me, and it's the year I graduated from elementary school, from 6th grade. So that was coming up as the first split of 703 and 571, which is the other area code that Virginia uses there. But 703, when I looked up in Gematria, the first entry was masturbation, and then Barack Hussein Obama, and then Area 51. So of course I had to break down masturbation, which is the master of Ba, and the Tion, Tion, or to be or not to be, the Tion, or source on. The tiger lioness, mastering kissing, rebirthing, and preparing. The son, the mother and father of 3 and 5. The compression, the braiding or weaving of Ba, of Mary's bath, the bathroom. Water, or the baptism water, the fence of reeds, and 1,000 suns of enlightenment, the piggyback totem of one on the back of the other, and the wave of up and down, of even and not even, of to be and not to be. And again, the 6 and 5 2/3 were coming up, which is 5.666 to infinitum. So 6th grade, and then 5 2/3 was coming up, or 5.666. So a lot of 6s were coming up there. And the Master of Bashan, which is coming up with the Queen's Gambit. 6th grade graduation and age 5.66666. And again, this reference of 5 and 7, or 5, 6, 7, where the 6 is the spiral in the middle, or the sweet spot, right? 5, 6, 7, clearly airing to the light of the middle. So the underlying energy was at 217 here, of the 63 of the light field, the 38 of Queen of Cups and the acceptance of love, the 41 as above so below, and the King of Wands reversed with the kite and the lobster. Fully exposed to a battery of energy in the middle of the bridge. As the truck that was on fire beneath collapses the bridge, The Queen of Cups and 38, and again 338 came up on the clock as Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It's 434 now, which is the 43 of the Three of Cups coming together to the 34 of energetic exchange, or the folding in upon each other. The 38 of the vines that wrap around his tree in a loving embrace of the Holy Grail, of compassionate reflecting as above so below, where the land meets sea, or the whispering bench at the lake under a tree. When the roots look like the tree, or when your insides look like the outside, that horizon aligns in a supernova moment, right? So what happens when the bomb explodes? It explodes up, and then the horizon goes whoosh, and you see that big cloud across the world. In a supernova moment, fully expansive across as opposed to up and down, because here it's capped both up and down and can only go across. And again, when we're talking about vertical and horizontal, right, and electric and magnetic, the horizontal is coming up as the magnetic feminine energy that's now being corrected here. The King of Wands reversed as exhausted on vacation, in a financial pinch, flying kites and eating lobster, or being a crustacean as lobsters mate for life and take flight. Allowing the dogs to go howl, but that's not really their thing, and now saying that as opposed to just going along with the crowd before. At 226 of the feminine or the higher self and the 26 of the Page of Wands, and remember 26, put them together, makes that energy of the bow. So put the 2 and 6 and smush them together. They connect together as like the bow with the ribbons hanging up though, upward. The 23 of the King of Wands coming in across the waters as she waits calmly within the wall of chaos. And I was just getting the halls of Amenti and the vortex. So she's hanging out there calmly, both in the chaos and in the nothingness of the vortex, the vacuum. The 36 of the 10 of Wands cosmic butterfly of Atlas and the daughter cell with the weight of the world and map of intent, the King of Wands and his Atlas, the man of the earth and woman of the sky, as they line with the vortex. They line the vortex, the feminines all lay their hair down as the heroes, as the H-I-E-R and the As of the entrance to the passageway of the heroes, opening where the hair is and then going within. The 19 of the Sun and the Shakti, which is the shock of source or pure sunshine, unprepared for full exposure of the light field, as the shock of source with the Shiv of one of Shiva, the handmade lightning bolt that's been borrowed from Zeus to get their point across. Yes, the sun burns, but so does ice. After all, ice is cold and freezing, in fact. At 235 of the feminine and the wounded warrior, or tensing up due to intellect. The vortex is all fuzzy and warm compared to the outer limits, out on a limb, or the limbic system, which has to do with remembrance, of remembering who you are. The 28 then came up of sacred convergence, to learn, to know, to direct a ship, or this convergence of the light show. The sacred, which is to say or see the red with ring of the rod and staff, the eaves, edges, and borders of Sophia's alternating currents or waves of red, or being well read, to learn to approach the Virgin with phallic symbol, to protect and defend the guardianship with weapon or custody of the light show of 2 ships in the night, as the bridge becomes the canopy of the projected stage beneath. Okay, so now the bridge collapses, so the bridge becomes the canopy now. Instead of a bridge, now it's just the sky and the heavens above the projected stage beneath, a twin flame waterwork of unprecedented delight, as the 69 of the Ace of Pentacles is the contemplation of a new life, a whole new world, as the 698 pod, and remember that 8 and 9 come in simultaneously to create the pod, the two peas in a pod, the two-eyed needle in the haystack of the twin flames push and pull of the quantum energy field, the two of the higher self, that within nothing is everything, the womb of water, which is the lake below the surface, right? You never see the water as being underground, but it is. It's a big hole in the ground with water in it. This is the holy water. The womb of water, or lake below the surface, is God's and Mother Nature's holy water, with an entrance or passageway or bones beneath, or perhaps a bone to pick, with then 4 cards coming up. The 68 of the Page of Pentacles to drop into your heart, the 46 of just for a moment, that joy of a child, of your arms up in the air, the 3 of the burning hero and Mother Nature there, or the Empress, and the 34 of becoming, and I was just getting the boomerang effect. The student of life, the innocent child of Mother, to be joyful in her light or in her delight as the abundant burning hero, her human embodiment of Source, becoming, approaching in the energetic exchange of the EE, the space between the Empress and the Emperor. The 68 of the 698 pod, remember, because the 8 represents both the 8 and the 9 simultaneously, the 98 of human temperature and the pod, the 4 and the 6 of his structure of 4 and her family of love, 6, or the spiral and the land of leap, the abundant exchange here in painting a picture of mother and children's creation. At 254 of the feminine and the higher self, the 54 of the Page of Swords, which is that mercurial messenger, the 35 in the underlying energy, after the 42, to love be your beacon, the 2 of Cups, the wounded warriors culminating their vision here with the 40 of the Page of Cups, sweetheart, the angelic support system. I was just getting the limbic system again. The 49 of remembering who you are, the 49 of the 9 of Cups of self-satisfaction, to heighten your vitality and deepen the colors of your specific mandala, your blueprint of your soul. The 32 of the journey, to trust your own understanding of the 38 Queen of Cups, that Mary Magdalene energy, and her acceptance of love, with the Queen of Cups, Page of Cups, and the wounded warrior here. So now we have the Queen of Cups of Mary Magdalene, the Page of Cups of the sweetheart, and the wounded warrior who's still trying to leave, right, to surrender, so they can become that map of intent, no longer the wounded warrior or the victim, and now being sovereign in themselves. The 45 of empowerment, and that's the 5 of Cups of the sorrow, of grieving, the purge, the 11 of making a decision, and the 7 of amplifying your positive emotions. They become empowered in the purge to align with your path of ascension. The Chariot represents ascension. It's that vehicle of ascension, your avatar body, to amp up your own positive emotions for truth and balance, for that boomerang effect. As the little fairy girl of the sweet chariot who's coming forth to carry you home, of Libra and Cancer, that are creating ripples and waves amongst the mighty sentinels and the oaks, waking up the dirt to heaven on earth, to dig your feet into the waters, all of them. So again, it's saying when you're traveling, put your feet in the waters. Your energy is transmuting the waters, all of them, period. At 301, and there's that reference of the period, again, that's sacred energy. The 44 of Hercules, of the beacon of light, to be lighter, as the waves come upon her, as that mountain of strength. The 7 of the water and the dolphins, where the water beings and the signs come up, of Atlas and Hercules, and the waterways of the inner child, the dolphins play, the Russian doll, and the Nutcracker guard, which came up in another read, but they're coming up again because I just posted all those pictures on Instagram of seeing the Nutcracker in my window at 4:44 right now in the angelic realms. Thank you. They're letting me know it was them. I literally saw like the Nutcracker soldier reflected in my window. I was out on my deck, so it's in my pictures, and I did the little video clip online too. It's not easy to see. I mean, obviously the images are always better on my iPhone before it's transferred, but you know, what can I do? Instagram is Instagram. But the Russian doll and the Nutcracker guard coming up here as the masculine and the feminine, right? The Russian doll and the one who breaks people's balls, the Nutcracker, at 3:03 of the 2 threes or 2 birds, you know, flying east with the space between in transformation of the 31. And remember with the 31 of the 5 of Wands, between the 3 and the 1, remember to hit up the number 4 of the Lambda Leap. Go to Source. Go to number 4, the 4th quarter, before starting again at the 1, that leap. Receiving the sun's rays into the shadow pack from the Page of Swords, Mercurial, Ethers, Vapor, and Eden, Castle on Cloud 9 in the purple moon, 0 point field, our address. The angel realms, they're just telling me that's their address. Of Sagittarius, the Sagittarius full moon, which was June 3rd, that lover's strawberry moon in Gemini, and the 2 of the High Priestess in Virgo's Mercurial aspecting within to review and reflect the 7/3 full moon of Capricorn in Cancer at the Buck moon, which is at 7:39 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So after the summer solstice on 6/21, which is at 10:58 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the merging of their aspects or assets, a message from the High Priestess or Divine Feminine, or 41 of the Holy Grail, and compassion that's reflected here, where what you see is what you get, and again being the same inside and out, at 3:12 of the Mother of the Empress of coming together with the 12, which is a 3, 12/3, the 12 of the masculine and feminine, but also the Hanged Man of seeing new perspectives and being wise, being natural, organic. The 14 of boundaries here, with the 41 and 14 sitting side by side. The 41 of the Ace of Cups in the Holy Grail, and the 14 of the Temperance card of patience and balance and that higher love. To set your boundaries daily, all for one and one for all, or like I said in the beginning, you know, God, please armor us all with your love. Remember the all, AWL, is the whole maker of the 41 of the whole, the Holy Grail, and the 14 is the whole of the angel realms, inclusive of all, of self-love and a higher love, with keys laid out on the path before you. The 13 and 6 of air and love, to fly free in the transition, with the aqua rose gold mother's heart, of relationships, of ships in the night, and harmony, how they blend together, leaving no man behind. As the blue Madonna is holding Sirius alignment and present with gifts, as JC, which those letters are also representing the toroidal field, holds an open invite to the dimensional gateway, as the gate holders and the bridge, the Anticorona Rainbow Bridge, the Ark, at the golden gate of unity for twins in flight, but all are welcome, as the mother and son for everyone, a need and or a meet and greet, as the pearly gates of heaven on earth can hardly wait to see you, or for you to see them. So the angelic realms are saying, you know, come look for us, we want to send you messages. So at 3:19 is the Empress and the Sun, the underlying energy of the Hierophant upright, and again the Master Initiator of the Alchemist, the Wounded Warrior upright, and the Queen of Pentacles. So the All Boys Club, who always kept them out, like Spanky and the gang, are now wanting to enter her gate. And is the guard a bit on guard? As the Queen of Pentacles, with secret information coming in from gifts of the present moment and dreams coming true through visualization and shedding her light or shining her light, the Four of Wands reversed is healing homes around the world, moving visits, and learning to plant roots and be free in the 5D station of Aquarius upright and Pisces reversed, as the, so, you know, because we left the Pisces realm behind in order to go into the age of Aquarius, as the Queen of Cups reversed is grieving the loss of Pisces of home and the emotional detachment about it. And Magician upright making magic here, as the Gemini or Virgo upright energy of the Two of Cups 1-1 to heal and have justice, or Libra under the radar, or in need of attention and peace and big love, perhaps overwhelmed or triggered as the Page of Swords steps up to the plate with the Queen of Wands looking the other way, and remember she's Omega, and could be some anxiety between the two, or guarded to the potential trap. So again here, the Page of Swords is representing the angels of 444 that we're just trying to give you a message, and the Queen of Wands as your enlightened self, right, who may be not paying attention, is coming out. So the Queen of Wands here is coming out, or with the Hermit reverse coming out, as guns blazing, standing up to the crowd, and or the Ten of Pentacles upright, family, business, or community, or about heaven on earth at 3:27, the Queen's Gambit and her pawn, and the 3 of the Empress of abundance there, and flying east, as is very much the feminine energy, the patient angel who fell hard into the 6 of Cups of the 2 children loving each other, innocent and loving, but injured and out in the cold at the same time, with each other, dependent and or powerless to the Emperor upright at night, or that control, right, of the powers that be, or the last full moon, or Aries upright and Cancer upright, who are dumping all and settling out. And remember, Aries is hitting the North Node in July. So at 3:30, which is the Empress or Mother Nature again, coming together in joy, and the 30 of the home and union, and the Om, with the 7 of Pentacles left, retiring or assessing their worth, or daydreaming after all the drama, or after the sudden event, or Scorpio reversed and Pisces or Virgo upright here, and the High Priestess who's satisfied with the Knight of Pentacles upright, and their offer to the Empress reversed. Perhaps sisters or mothers and their babies at 3:33 as the airplane flew overhead, the Page of Cups and the Taurus reversed, or one who just delivered in the pursuit of separation and the impossible dream, or the Page of Wands upright and excited but uncomfortable with the Queen of Swords reversed and the Knight of Wands reversed, perhaps driving or flying in to present their case, the truth to set them free, and the 2 of Pentacles reversed, dropping the ball, the act, the facade or the pattern, the daily grind with new information, but lost their balance with the 2 of Wands, choice of path, or the twin flame offering options to save or hold on with the Dark Knight, or transition of the Page of Pentacles reversed and the Knight of Cups reversed, and perhaps a scam that's likely, that just came up on the phone, or Scorpio in need of help, or shows up uninvited, or perhaps they're just unexpected, perhaps they showed up early. Perhaps early now the worst is over, and it is time for bliss after a turn of events and facing their fears, with the 10 of Cups reversed, unhappy family, or ending an emotional cycle of unhappiness, playing hardball, perhaps with self, withholding, saving, or preparing, again, those preparations of planting the seeds for rebirth, to get together at work or school or anywhere you co-create, perhaps event planning with the Knight of Swords upright, and deliverance of the awakening of the King of Pentacles reversed in order to start over, perhaps drained or feeling burned or in need of vacation, or kids or pets who are all over the place, but with great affection for the Knight of Swords reversed and the King of Wands reversed, perhaps a Gemini and or a Leo, or Gemini or somebody with Leo in their chart, but they're both reversed here, perhaps lovers coming together for vacation, or air and fire to master their qualities of air and fire, right? So the King of Swords may need to master his thoughts, and the King of Wands is mastering his passions, and coming together to do them both. Perhaps the King of Pentacles reversed as well, with Capricorn or Pisces in their chart. As Leo, child, pet, maybe being strong, as Teddy was waiting in the window for me patiently, so I would be done and take him out. To dump emotional attachments and to come together, dumping multiple loads without coming together. So at 3:44, which is the Empress and the 44, of the Hercules energy of her harvest. Capricorn and Aquarius, or the devil here waving, with an announcement or wake-up call to those suffering in silence, or perhaps with sisters, or stressed out at night and not sleeping, as the energetic exchange with the King of Cups reversed, who may be overworked or not working out, or conditions of love in the 5D connection, as temptation is calling, or Capricorn and Aquarius, to one stressed about the constant back and forth, or energetic exchange, which could be sexual nature as well, with the King of Cups reversed, malaligned, and sleeping. So at 5:56, the underlying energy of the younger woman coming up here, the birds perched and waiting for news, or perhaps a package or letter, the staff that will assure you'll be taken care of in difficult times, an announcement or bells go off rather, in the path of money is waiting for you to find it, or was, because this isn't the underlying energy. The crown, the honor, and the respect that comes to you, November vacation, or perhaps the kite that's flying high, perhaps flying in December, or a period of illness or health or depression, perhaps it's just seasonal disorder, and the apple of your eye who will tempt you. And as Forrest would say, and that's all I have to say about that, as the ink pot is spilled, the grasshopper, with a problem that's too much concern with sexual matters and obstacles to overcome, with a secret admirer, with the vase and the broom, and again, this energy of jumping the broom of someone being courted, and perhaps a marriage at 6:02 of the lovers and the higher self, the new home or new attitude, or jumping the broom, with lobster in a financial pinch, and the King of Wands reversed, vacation on a dime, dealing with a woman or a tiger who's doing something risky, taking a chance, climbing the ladder of success, right, to be in a place where he feels like he can pull in his dream girl. At 6:14, which is the lovers and the higher love of the Temperance card, with 3 cards of the cat, the teapot, and the dog that's far away, the two-faced friend or cat, and the dog that's far or distant, and a friend who's thinking of you, perhaps coming together for tea, or that could be coming together with the top dog or source energy, the underlying energy of stars, is that stress or stars, love and reflecting, great love with compassion, perhaps to the beach for kites and little expenditure. The sacred convergence of empowerment, of cracking codes and finding keys, of setting boundaries on the way to the sun, or perhaps in the sun's way to you. Transiting to the heart, Sagittarius, Scorpio, and Gemini here, with mother and son's love holding the gates open. Trespassers are welcome. At the Royal Indigo Golden Gates, welcoming and holding whatever you need at the Happiness Hotel. You can check out anytime you need. Time to think and feel on both sides, deserts and jungles, beach or being antisocial. The storm is heavy hitting, with purging angels being strong. The lionesses perhaps a fly on the woman's wall, or her number on the wall, 8675309. So the December tiger, and the apple of your eye, the mother and child, or Earth Taragaia and her womb, the 27 of the Queen's Gambit and her little fairy girl, creating ripples in the mother's heart, with temptation that will test you, with new DNA that is activated, and again that 24th pair, the children and the mother, and the electromagnetic field, and the energetic exchange with space becoming, as the Blue Madonna and JC of the toroidal field, and the Blue Madonna referencing the Sirius alignment, Blue Madonna and JC seriously with placeholders for you, one to wave and another to announce your arrival. After a long, long journey, and what a long, strange trip it's been, an energetic exchange in the hours of love, as the King of Cups is reversed with conditions of love and working it out on break, or with rest and meditation, cats and dogs, and a teapot to vent over or ventilate. At 6:29, the Lovers and being present in the moment. So then we go into the message on the table, which I was not expecting at all to be, I'm just pulling cards this morning, right? And I pulled from the Fortune's Oracle, and the first card there was, you're getting your wish. All right, so this is the read on the table in front of you. And again, all about the 27 of the 2 wrapped around, or the 7 wrapped around the 2 as the 2 spheres connecting, right? The Q and that leap of the 1 between the 2 realms. The Queen's Gambit, a permanent eclipse of 2 dimensions, right? So it's 2 spheres eclipsing each other, but then building a bridge back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it sticks. And I was getting the propellers, remember in Avatar, the big hover planes with those big open engines, right? Where it's that energy of the vacuum, of hovering over. But I was getting that Avatar energy of the bigness and the power of it. At 11:55 is when I pulled the first card, 11 of alignment, justice, truth, and balance, the 55 of Excalibur, of the truth of it all. And the underlying energy. And I was actually going to pull from the crystal deck for my stone of the day, and I pulled the wrong deck out, and that's why I ended up pulling this message. The underlying energy was the transformation card and the breaking of the chains. Okay, so that's this card here. But I'm now going to take you through this whole underlying energy with the snake right there, the Kundalini, and then eventually we'll get to the cards that came out. And now I'm being called to reiterate Venus, Leo, and the 3, which also represents that bird flying east, besides the Empress and abundance and coming together and that happy-go-lucky energy as well. That energy of the child and Venus, and again Libra and Taurus, Venus energy of the inner child flying east and going into that feminine energy. So, and if you go too much in your masculine, the 23 this year is learning how to master their passions. So keep pushing your energy back to the left side. So the transformation of breaking the chains after the 23 of the wise owl at the very bottom of the deck, the 1 of abundance, and the dance being very significant there, of 2023 of all for one and one for all, the lucky time here of the 8 dance of the dragonfly. And again, the dragon came up this morning when I was doing a scan, and then the Kundalini coming out of that dragon, literally coming out of its mouth, was birthing the Kundalini awakening. So dragon being the higher self is birthing your Kundalini awakening, 1 for all and 2 for one, or 2 as one, as the 18 of the Lovers romance, the dance, to be true to yourself, the 27 of the Queen's Gambit and the proposal, the Queen's Gamma Ray, her gambit of 2 rings linked permanently, the infinity ring of the infinity symbol, the wise abundance, which abundance is the bun dance, B-U-N is a kidney marker, in the dream. There's this other energy too of having your organs taken. And when the kidneys came up, it was interesting too, because I said, you can have your kidney taken without dying or without someone killing you, right? If they were trying to harvest your organs. The 16 of the lion's roar and the call of the wild here. Wild thing, I think I love you. So Virgo or Gemini with Leo and Cancer, as Gemini's season is going into Cancer and Leo, the 23 of the King of Wands, where the cards came up 1, 8, and then 18, which is 1, 8. Where the 18 and 18 is the 36 of the Atlas energy of the weight of the world and finishing that cycle of passion and the King of Wands this year. The 6 and the 18 of the new moon, June 18th, and the 27 of the divine feminine and higher self going into 7-2 to 7-3, which is the July new moon or full moon, which is also referencing June 33rd as the 33 card came up because that would go into July 2nd to the 3rd. The full buck moon of the 2nd to the 3rd of the angels and the unicorns, or unified co-RNs, or those who nurse each other. The one of the inner child, or Jesus, which is Isus, with some light to bring in a powerful way, as the two rings are linked at the 8-8 Lion's Gate, as Lyrans and angels are calling the unicorns home, seriously, with the 33 of the Rainbow Bridge, with the pot of gold of unity consciousness, and marital wake-up call of the 20, the wake-up call of the 0, also source energy backing up the feminine energy. So again, this is the King of Wands year, this year of 23, and learning how when you get too off balance in masculine aggression, because it's the masculine fire energy, to know how to get your energy back over to the feminine, to be more feminine. And again, balancing. It's not about off balance of anything. We're not going into the feminine era. We're going into the era of balance between the masculine and feminine. The sudden energies of the 2 and the 33 of the twin bridges of the 33 and the 33, which equals the 66 of the Golden Gates and the Queen of Pentacles, but also the Golden Gate marriage, and now the 20 of Source backing them up about it. The Lion Angel and the Unicorn marriage to the 7 and the 1 of the 6, which is the feminine 7 and the masculine 6, the divine feminine Gams or Gamma Ray, and the divine masculine's Spiral or Spy Ray of Scorpio and Pisces, or new passion for epiphanies and synchronicities, standing up in the wake-up call to toast and celebrate the 4 of the Lambda Leap, birthing to the opportunity to wake to a higher love, to patience and balance, and the angelic realms, 444. The random pages bound, and what a story to tell on page 14 to 15, exclamation point, maybe one is actually the lowercase I, referencing that flipping, of the angel and the devil, and the star and the keyhole. The key, that devilish ray and those gams, putting the key and lock together, cracking the codes to collapse the thorny crown. The game of thorns, just tortured thrones. In taking 31 of the conflicting waves at 1242, the Hanging Man and the 2 of Cups, 1 to 1. The conflicting waves is that back and forth to the remembrance of that number 31, to after you do the 1, 2, 3 leap, to remember to leap to the number 4, right? The Lamb to God, the Father, before starting over again at 1. That's the 31 at 1244, which is the Hanging Man and Hercules, her harvest. The remembrance to leap to 4, which also can represent Akashic records here in the halls of Amenti, before starting at 1 again. So clearing the weeds to see the light, which I actually did this morning out of the garden, because there's certain plants that want to overtake the space and then suffocate the other plants who then can't breathe. Not being able to see the sun because another was hogging your space and blocking the view. It's important to leave space between for room to breathe. And relax. Regarding RE and relax, the angels X dance, where X is 1/8 dance, where they each turn an eighth towards each other instead of a quarter, which then the square just becomes another square. But in the X dance, the 2 ones both turn an eighth towards each other to dance and become the X. 1/8 is 1 over infinitum, which then they were showing me, this is so significant right here. The X, or the 1/8 dance, the 1/8 represents the 1. Remember, 1 is just 2 dots, which represents the 2 gate holders of the masculine and feminine holding the bridge open. And then that's over the 8, which is infinity. And right, when the twins come together in union, the infinity symbol brings them together in the middle. So they are an upright 2 8s of their masculine and feminine dancing side by side. But when they come into union, they become the infinity symbol on its side between the 2 of them, holding the bridge together, as they're each independent on the outside, but they're also tied together in the middle. Right? This is the energy of 1/8. Right? The 2 twins of the infinity symbol in the middle, as the gate holders are on either side now, where then the bridge becomes no longer there because the wound has been healed. You don't need to hold the bridge open anymore. So that's what we're doing. We're holding the bridge open, so it's back and forth energy until it's healed. The twins, not only the gate holders, but they are the actual bridge. They hold the 2 dimensions in eclipse formation until the bridge becomes healed and more permanent nature. After healing all the thorn wounds of the crown, which is the crow in the end of Jesus, the crow of Jesus and counting crows, where the sea rose is the whispering bench canoe rowing down the salt river to the fresh, the 2 unicorns bridging worlds of the unic or the unique or normal saline, which is the 2 unified as one of the inner child, the 1 whispering bench. Remember, the whispering bench is the bridge, right? It's 2, the gate holders on either side, with a connection between. They don't have to move to hear each other. The 33 that faces off with the EE of the energetic exchange, or the birds soaring towards each other. I want to run to you. So then Whitney's coming up. As a switch gets flipped in the eclipse of the heart, as the 33 turns in on itself as the 3 to the E, which is then the star formation of the toroidal field. And when a star is born, that supernova moment of the 2 twins, and then the combination of them becoming the star in the middle, which equals the fleur-de-lis, the star, the torus, the tying of dimensions together. The 33 and the EE would then be 2 toruses folding in on each other, and I've showed you a technical diagram of that as well several years ago, which literally looks like 2 Easter eggs opened up with the Celtic cross within it as well. Today is 6/12/2023, which is the 6 of the spiraling of the 1 and 2 of the masculine and feminine in the 2023 of the wake-up call of 20 of the source supporting the divine feminine or higher self of the 23, which is the King of Wands, mastering his passions this year. The wise fool and his dog, reflecting God, of course. The 34 of unity in the energetic exchange, where the 33 to 34 is the flipping to the EE. So the 34 is that energy in the middle of the 33 and EE, where they come together, right? It's like, again, the 8 and 9 that happen simultaneously. It flips it over. The hand fasting, right? So again, the 3 and the E coming together in the hand fasting, like knuckles coming together here, okay? And linked in. 1 with gratitude of unity, which is the uni and then the TY of gratitude. The fool's leap to gratitude, and the 29 of being in the present moment, of the starry alignments, the starry night. And again, Van Gogh came up recently in the clouds as I showed you his beautiful pictures. The night star of N and S, which for me, N is Christ and C is the Christ consciousness. So the N and S comes up also as normal saline, but also as the Christos Sophia. And the saline, which is say line, which is the arc, colon. The essay between 2 points, the bridge of ecliptics, the tipping point, the unity star of one in gratitude, the path of one are, or just is, a holy ray, or entrance to a passage, the Holy Grail, which is God's, or that spiral G, spiral rail, with a platform, the letter G, so it's the spiral 6, but it has a line on it because it's representing the 5D jump off, the 5D platform at the station. The jump off point, because at 5D you can then jump off to any dimension. The 13 of the goal is the gold, the G of the Ancient One. That T is the platform. So the G is coming up as the whispering bench with the top dog, right, source energy, and the Christ consciousness, or the whispering bench bridge to the top dog. So G represents that, and the Ancient One is the old. That T, capital T, is the platform for the whispering bench and the Christ consciousness. The gold coin, or co-in, like two folding in upon each other. The co-han, or the co-pilots, which is the pi lots, right? 2 pi, the 2 pi lots, both in balance, but they're also the googly eyes, the starry eyes of the knights, with she on his coin, as he is in she. So if she's on the coin, then so is he. And to share E, the one that's equal and congruent to, and also E is the Merlin, don't forget, the one equal and congruent that share a juicy middle, with share being sh and R, and then share was just coming up in Sunny and Share because they just came up recently. To share quietly, share, that you just are, that he is she and they are, a collective where he becomes she, in the sine wave dance of Sophia. She's so phi, or expansive, drawing outside the lines, which is the phi as opposed to the pi, in the connection to all. At 116, the magician or leap of the masculine into that tower energy of epiphanies, or sexual connection. At 117 is then again the masculine energy in the 17 of the star, and the 22 of the mountain, and Mohammed here coming up as the Moha of Mary Magdalene, after death, which Moha is moss, or delusion, or the place of Hungary. It's a city in Hungary. So it's of Mary Magdalene after death, which of course represents his death, which then represents her death as well. And the mountain, which is the Mount of Ain, which means one, woman, AA, archangels, always on and on, even still, yet the I, our own. The fish hook, representing Christ again, one and only blood, to iron or shackle or handcuff, one's own, leg and steel, always. I love this because it's saying always as in that always connection, but also always is incessantly, right? So those things that may get on your nerves. Always and incessantly, anyway and nevertheless. He is immovable mountain, and she his connection to see the world from another point of view, since she is more flexible as the sprout of his mountain or tree, the hungry place of Mary Magdalene after his death, that moves mountains, the holy place of longing to find oneself again, in the rebirthing through the One, the source creator of all that is, to see one's closest reflection as the one that is on your bridge to source, who holds the other gate. And again, the 2 dots with the infinity between as the masculine and feminine and the gate holders here, in the connection from the silver gate to the golden gate, with copper wiring of Cope and Venus, or CV of Opie and Enos, which means enumerations, as the E knew all along. There's no place like home. The Inu is the height, the top, a recent drink from the fountain, or in Japanese comes up as the 1 and the X of the 9, or the hermit, which means the N of the Christ vibration, and the hermit, y'all, to take the shadow or ina, blocking the light, the shade, the dark area, the face or facial expression or unpleasant feeling at 134. Again, that leap to the 34 of the flipping of the 33 into the EE of energetic exchange and the arrows of love. The 22 of the 5D station, where the snow-capped mountain meets the star, and the man of La Mancha, the man's dance, to reach the unreachable star. The 9 of the hermit, the eagle who soars, not just dives and rises, but also soars across the horizontal, the bridges of mountains back and forth until they grow as one, reaching higher and higher towards that star. So again, this is about building bridges across in the horizontal realms and building to that star, not by the vertical pillar or by explosions, but by allowing the mountains to bridge and bridge again and bridge again in pyramid form and building upward, reaching higher and higher towards that star, all for one and one for all, the whole, the W, and the whole maker. Is that the shoemaker, or is that the blower's daughter cell? The gift of transition to the 22 5D platform, the jump-off point to source of the eagle to then soar. The C of the whispering bench, which, remember, the G is the C and the top dog T, or the T for 2 in the lambda leap to the Q, or creation, or the Queen's chambers, that she is with the connections until there's so much back and forth that the two mountains become one, with a natural bridge, of course, the 5 of celebrations of change in the triangle and the excitement of the new coming into your life, and the 36 of the atlas map and the world, and the Hierophant master initiator with a map of intent and a bridge to build, or many. The 21 of the world's connection to the moon. So again, not just us bridging here, but then us bridging to the moon with the 21 of the feminine and the masculine and the world of romance, or romancing the stone, which is that roaming of the NCE, which is each other, as the moon reflects the 19, or the sun, for luck, where the sun and the moon come together to the earth, which is that triangle upside down, the feminine's triangle. Both reach out for the world, 21, our world, which is called a wake-up call, number 20, the call of the trumpets to come home. The 25, as the phoenix awakens and rises, and again that reference of the 2 and the 5, which in block letter exactly reflect each other, and that's the Knight of Wands lighting that fire under your butt of the phoenix rising, that the flame is here lit at 149, the masculine of the magician, and the 49 of getting your wish, of self-satisfaction. The Knight of Wands burning through all in its way, and this is representative of the years to come now as well, right? Because the Knight of Wands is 25. So going through the fire of the King of Wands, Queen of Wands, Knight of Wands, Page of Wands, to the Ace of Wands through 27, here's the Knight of Wands lighting that fire to burn through all in its way to the 28 of 2028 and the twin flames and the snake that's coiled at the base. As the Knight of Wands burns through what the King of Wands and Queen of Wands have started in 23 and 24, the 25, 26, and 27 to the 28 as the 2025, or is that 2023, since 23 plus 2 is 25 of the Knight of Wands, in the year of the snake, which is 2025. The 32, where the chains are off the chart and completely severed, in a 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 cycle of Olympic proportion. A huge transformation of the journeyman and the Kundalini awakening, they're saying, that started in 12. And again, it's all about the 8 here, of course, of 12 to 20 and 16 to 24 and 20 to 28 and 24 to 32, as the 25 blasts all wide open. So the 159 is the masculine and the leap of the magician into that war within, the 59, the 11th hour. And the 35 of the wounded warrior, that your heart's desire is ready to come true. In the 10 of the destined fire and the renewal of the present. The 24 of the patience of the hourglass, to slow down, change your attitude, and clear your mind. The hourglass remembers what connects you and your twin, is what you share with your twin, as the half moons are independent of enlightenment, and 2 and 4 are the spaces between, or in other words, to and fro of the energetic exchange. The 26 of the plane that takes off after the 25 Knight of Wands blasts off. So here's the upside down pyramid, and these cards you see were put down in upside down pyramid formation of 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off to love, and that was referencing as 17 to 32 literally in the cards. The 6, and I'm not saying that you're not going to be in union until 32. They're saying the chains will be broken by 32. The 6 of the chariot, which is also Cinderella's chariot, of course, all sparkly with 4 horses, and the 4 horses coming up, all lit up, to stay strong and confident at 206 of the feminine, or the Queen's Gambit, and the 6 of the spiral, or the spy who loved her, and actually when I wrote that, there were 2 white moths dancing right outside the window in front of me with the table and the flowers. In the dance of the King of Wands and Queen of Wands, purification, ignited by the Knight of Wands, exciting the Page of Wands, to the 27 of the Queen's Gambit, the Ace of Wands' new passion or flame, where then the torch is fully lit. The 24 is the blending. The 26 is the taking off. On the lover's chariot to the sun of 30, which is home and union. The 209 of the feminine and the hermit, with the space between, and sunshine with 6 and 7. And again, there's that sunshine of Leo in the middle here. Same thing was coming up here as that sunshine Leo energy with 6 and 7 spiraling around it, which is the spiraling and the boomerang around the child, or the Leo energy, the sparkling and crackling. So there's that S and C again of the Christos Sophia, as the Christos Sophia bridge in the 6-7 sweet spot of the Knight of Pentacles, the humble loyal servant. 6-7 is also June and July, and celebrations in the sun, and the Queen of Wands 24 of Omega, who must be patient with 23, the King of Wands in 2023, as in 2024, it's her turn to balance her passions. As 11 is the flowers align and bloom, they also share with all who see their beauty. They're so generous, aren't they, those flowers? Are you to share your scent? So generous are you to share your scent as well. And the senses. Beware of Mother Nature and the nature of the beast. Be careful who you trust with your essence, as isn't the fragrance the forgiveness of the one who crushed it? And karma may be quite instant now, especially for space invaders, and karma that can be a bitch, as Mother Nature is constantly required to rearrange itself with cutbacks and such. As creatures nestle into flowers, but then lose their home when the flower turns brown. Don't take it personally, as love is all around. The 17 of your dreams coming true. So move forward positively in all areas of your life at 222, which is that guidance counselor show. But again, the 2 of the feminine, the 22 of the 5D stationing, and the 222 of love all around. And the energies that came up in the pyramid were Libra, Gemini, Cancer, and Taurus, who are really feeling that fiery energy, because it was all about the fire around these energies, so burning through. So all the air signs are going to feel it the most, as well as Cancer and Taurus coming up right there. All right, and yeah, there we go. So, where are we? It's 2:14. It's Valentine's Day, and it just hit 25 when I said that. Oh my gosh. And it's 5:29 on the other clock, which is the Hierophant being present in the moment, right? The master initiator of alchemy. So cool. Let's just pull a quick energy card, and I'll let you go. I still have to do my astrological reads too, so I'm going to have some dinner first, and then I'll get to those reads as well. All right. Please share this video. It is the symbolisms and the information on how the twins are involved with this ascension is so important. So please share it with anybody that you can. I know not all of you feel comfortable sharing all this stuff with other people, but if you can, please do share the video. I appreciate you guys. All right, so from the energy deck, oh, look at that. And it did a flip. It was like a stick it. It was like a vault where they stuck it, or they came off the bars and stuck it, and the underlying energy is the sun. Wow. And look what's sticking out. Check it out. The 39, whose throat chakra is activated. That's the Knight of Cups. And that's Gabriel as well, okay? Which is that kind of mercurial energy. Wow, look at that. Here's the Magician embodiment of the sun. And again, we have the sun and Leo in the middle with the children, and the caring connections of that higher love with the 14 and the Temperance card. And again, Leo and Sagittarius, so there's all that fire. I'll bet you Aries isn't far away. Oh, look at that. Below that, too, is the victory of the twin flames for their time in the sun. All right, you can't get more beautiful than that. Oh, my God. See, and then there's sun again. There's the next card's coming out is Leo again, and Mother Nature. And then there's a 27, the Queen's Gambit. Okay? And there's definitely that energy. This is, right, while the masculine's doing some healing, the feminine's going off to do her thing, the Queen's Gambit. And again, the mother and son, right, coming up here too. And that could be children involved as well, right there. And there's the next card is the Magician, right, of the 53, and the Knight of Swords, the Messenger of Truth, and the Magician in the Mirror. Okay? And again, the Caring Connections, which is the card that flipped out. And this is the underlying energy. The Sun and the Temperance card. So the angels are really coming in this read to say, look for messages from us. Look at the clouds. Look at the bushes, like, you know, like a lot of the stuff I show you guys. Whatever resonates with you, do that for yourself. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you soon. After dinner, I'll come back and do my, I think Capricorn is first. And remember your water, your rest, your joy, your nature, to follow your own knowing, and to understand that bridge connection now, okay? And to breathe or aspire.